Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I've been following along. If this is the first time here, welcome. My name is Eric Gutierrez, and my channel I'll talk about all of my bike, from the wheels to the little fender rails, my headlights, stage one, everything you see here, I've done it. But today's video, we're going to be talking about the belt. As you can see here, the belt's missing. I was riding a few weeks back, going to school, commuting on the freeway. You know how it is sometimes. You see in the video, you'll see it goes like I'm going my normal speed limit, and then it goes back down. So essentially something was slipping, something was pulling. So I was thinking maybe from the transmission pulley. So I'll play a clip right now. So as you see from the clip what happened, you pay attention to the little speedo, how it changes. In today's video we're going to be talking about how to replace your pulley. In this case, and replacing the whole belt. We're going to be talking about removing the primary, everything completely. We'll do it step by step according to the manual. Here's a little quick little damage assessment about what happened. This was a pulley set. You can see here some damage right here going on. Right there. You can see here you got some teeth missing. How they're all just basically just hanging on. Could be a tension, could be that she's old. I mean, she did last me about 16 years. OG belt from the original, so from 2009 from today, 2025. I think it's either age or too much tension. Alright, so now with the bike up in the air, fully secured, I'm gonna start removing the floorboard as well as the shift linkages. Basically I just have it up here chilling now, so that we have now access to remove the whole primary case. So the first step to do, first step I'll be doing right now is removing the whole primary. So the first step is to drain the oil. Alright, so one little trick I'll be doing today is sneaking in this little zip tie here just underneath the belt, between the belt chain and the belt tensioner. And basically the purpose of this is to lock the tensioner in place so that when you remove it, it stays within those same adjustments. And to remove it, it's a 1/2" socket. So as you saw, what fell in the last part were these little spacers. You want to keep them and save them. One thing right now that I have my tensioner out, this is the time and place to when you want to inspect it. In my case, mine still looks good. You can see the ridges where it travels through. See there, mine's still in pretty good shape, so I'll be keeping it. Alright, so the next thing I'm doing now is loosening up my the tension in my clutch cable. And to do that, essentially, is you have to loosen up the lock nut as well as adjuster. Once you got your lock nut all the way up here, now you just basically just back it out. Like so. Alright, so now we're going to be removing the your clutch adjuster. Simply, it's just to slap on the little Allen key in here to hold the adjuster in place. And all you gotta do right here is just loosen up the locking nut. Like so. You don't need a whole lot, but just like that to remove the whole assembly. So now that you got your adjuster loose, now you get some snap ring pliers and just put it on the snap ring. Now once you got that removed, you can just simply back it out, as simple like that. Then you're gonna want to remove your push rod. Remember which side in, which side goes out. Alright, so now I got my handy dandy tool. Got a block of wood here. So now I'm removing my clutch pack. So remember, it's gonna be reverse thread. So we're gonna break it now. Just like so. Just kind of skip it a little bit, but still got the job done. Remember, it's reverse thread, so instead of loosening it to the left, you'll be reversing it to the right. Alright, so my GoPro died, but essentially this little piece of tabla here will work. So you'll be able to loosen up your compensating bolt as well as your clutch. You just simply swap it over when you're done. So now with that being said, once you get everything out, it should come off easily one piece. Like this, like so. There goes your compensator. It's come out like that. Alright, so now I'm going to be moving the rear wheel. Right here in this axle side, you're going to see an E-clip. Simple to remove it. Just get a screwdriver, for example, flathead. Just want to get underneath there and just like so. Alright, so once you got the E-clip removed, you want to slap on the wrench over here on this side. You can see here, I just kind of leverage it on right there onto the mount for the exhaust. That way I have that leverage right there, stays put. And on this side, I'm able just to wrench it off. So the next thing you want to do now is with the 9/16 wrench or a socket, if you want to go that route. I'm just going to use a wrench. I'm just going to back out the tension bolt. There's one on either side of the bike. As you can see on this side, I loosened up the actual nut already. So same as this side, I'm going to loosen it up just to allow for some tension when I remove it. Once you got all that out, you could just go ahead and just remember what side it goes. There's going to be some spacers on each side of the wheel hub. So you can see on this side there's one. And on this side it's more of a longer side of it. You want to keep track which is which. Then on this side you want to bang it out. Hopefully not too dark, but essentially now you just want to wiggle this thing out. So one way to remove it is just by jacking it up, allowing for the bike to go up and the wheel to just drop down. What you got here, you can just wiggle it. Remember which side goes spacer. In my case, two lines are pointing outwards. On this side, these two lines are pointing outwards, along with another spacer within inside the swing arm. Now with the jack, you can do this easily. Alright, so now we're about 8 months later now. Got my pulley back in with the right shade of gold. So basically we're going to be installing it today. You can see here, this is bad, shiny. She's never going to look this good again once she's got that wear and tear in her. So basically I'm going to set it here just for now. Alright, so I'm going to be upgrading from the old black Allen. I used to rock it. So I'm going to toss that out. And I'll be rocking these ARP bolts from Summit. Length I'm going with, in case you guys are curious, a barcode, you want to scan it, like a QR code, whatever you want to do with it. So these are the ARP bolts that I'll be installing. These are going to be pretty sick now that I think about it, because you get the contrast between the gold and the chrome. So before I install the bolts, as always, we're following the manual. These are my specs right here. So mine is 2009. It says from the following: tying the German bolts, sprocket bolts from 60 foot-pounds, back it out half a turn, then retie it to 77 to 83 foot-pounds. Also, you want to add Loctite thread locker 262. I don't got 262, but we're rocking the blue Loctite. Just gonna apply it a tad bit. You want to start them by hand first. Got my torque wrench at 60 foot-pounds. Then you want to loosen each of them half a turn out. Something like that. Alright, so now that we backed them up half a turn, now we're going to re-torque them down. The book calls for 77 to 83 foot-pounds. I just put mine somewhere in the middle at 80. Again, always go in the start pattern. It's always difficult to remove the starter from the inner primary. So what I did here, I just removed the inner well here, and as well as a little plastic guard down there, move some cables around. And basically, I attached this little combination with the 1/4-inch Allen with a wobble socket or universal joint, whatever you call them, and an extension. And sure enough, she comes off. For now, for the other mounting bolt, I can basically put an extension over here, and it's doable. You can sneak it around past here, so you won't have to remove the whole oil tank. All right, so the next step is to remove the inner primary. There's gonna be a total of 5 bolts, 2 right here, 2 right here, and 1 over here. Now with all 5 bolts removed, now you'll be able to remove it. So now we're gonna be removing this little swing arm pivot bolt right here. So you can see what is that little stud right there, or nut, más bien. And the nut, the bolt size should be on this side. As you can see here, I put my wrench here. Again, leaning it on the bracket. Alright, so you can see here, I kind of loosened out the pivot nut already. I had a wrench on the other side. But essentially, now they got here, you want to push it out all the way out, but not really. Push it up, but not really. So now we're gonna come in here. Basically, you want to move the pivot bolt all the way out, but just enough so you can remove this spacer. So just like that. So to install the bell, you're gonna want to put it through here, to the inside of the swing arm now, and essentially just make its way around here. I loosened up my tie strap, my tie down. Now I'm just installing it through here. Make sure everything lines up correctly. Like that. Got this situated now. Now we're going to be installing our spacer. If I can find it. There it is. Alright, so now we're going to be installing our spacer. So remember, mine was 2 lines towards the center mount. So now we're just going to be installing it back into place where it's supposed to be. And just pushing in the nut, the bolt, to come on this side. As you can see here, it came on this side from over here. Add a little bit of a Loctite, cutting off the threads from any residue, tad bit, just like that. So this is how I'm doing that. Put the wrench right here, you can see it, right on my exhaust bracket. Alright, now I'm gonna put the washer in first. Nut. The torque spec on this is 90 to 110. I set mine at 100 foot-pounds. Just like that, we got torque down. Alright, so now we're going to be installing our inner primary. You want to make sure your dowels are in place for the starter and everything's in place, as well as your gasket here for the stator. We'll slap on the inner primary. Alright, now with the inner primary installed, or somewhat, and the starter bolts have been torqued down. So now we're going to be installing these bolts right here. Now the book and Harley recommends you replace these bolts. I'm just gonna wing it. But anyways, you would want to follow this torque pattern right here. You're gonna want to follow this, as well as the torque specs right here. So mine calls for 26 to 28 foot-pounds. So again, torque pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're gonna be installing the compensating socket, and the book calls for red Loctite, which is this one, 262, but I got 271. I'm gonna wing it like that, see what happens. But you're gonna add red Loctite instead of blue Loctite onto your compensating socket on your bolt. So I retired my tabla, the piece of wood I used, so now I just bolted these 2 coupons together, laid some dimes. You can see here, laid some dimes down. Anyways, so essentially now with my little homemade locking tool, gonna attach this bad boy right here, and now we'll be able to tighten up our compensating bolt to 100 foot-pounds. Alright, so now I repositioned my little locking tool. Now we're gonna be moving the bolt, backing it out 360 degrees, which means 1 full turn. So next step now is I reposition my locking tool, and now we're gonna tighten the compensating bolt to 140 pounds. So next step now we're tightening down our clutch nut. Remember, lefty tighty, righty loosey. And a torque spec on this is anywhere from 70 to 80 foot-pounds. I positioned mine at 75 foot-pounds. Just like that. Alright, so now we're going to be installing our chain tensioner, which goes right there. Remember to add a little bit of blue Loctite. Right here, it's a tad bit. Kind of got a lot, something to even it out. Now these do come with spacers. You want to make sure that you're installed them the right way. If you look right here inside the chain tensioners, you're going to see the little groove in here. Hopefully you're able to see it right here. So basically this lines up to there. So it's going to end up looking something like this. And so essentially now you got all that. Just want to install it. Alright, so now we're going to be installing clutch assembly. Remember which way it went in. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on there. Then we're going to just put in here, push the push rod back in. And then we're going to put our clutch adjuster back in. This way it says out. We're going to put it back in the same way. Now we're going to be installing our snap ring back into its place. Alright, so here's the confusing part, which is adjusting your clutch. So according to the book, and I follow the manual, the book states that after you release your clutch tension, squeeze it a few times. So you basically just want to move the little clutch adjuster, which is this one, until it lightly seats. So back out the nut, for example, it's gently seated. Tighten it just a tad bit. So basically now that's, you know, lightly seated, now it says to back out the adjuster counterclockwise anywhere between half a turn to 1 turn while holding the adjusting screw, which would be this one, in place, and tighten the lock nut. Back it out anywhere from half a turn to full turn. I'm gonna start off with half a turn. So you back it out. That's about half. I'm gonna hold this in place, and when I put it in place with the lock nut. Like so. So now with the clutch down there adjusted, now we're gonna be adjusting our clutch cable. Remember, if you recall back from the beginning how we backed that out, now we put pressure back on. And basically to adjust it is putting more tension up here and basically allowing less play. Alright, so now that we got our desired play in our clutch, now we're gonna be locking it up. Attach a wrench right here. There's wire right here, and you want to twist opposite direction so that they could just tighten each other out like so. So just friction it. So now with the clutch adjusted, both of them, these are just standard measurements, but the real measurement you'll get is once the bike is, you know, fully complete, you're gonna want to test your friction zone, see where it grabs, where it doesn't grab, and then from there you may have to do adjustments here or there. All right, so now we're gonna be installing our primary cover. I'm gonna be using the same gasket. Use your best discretion. Look at your gasket if you're gonna replace it or not. I'm just gonna wing it, just like that. Remember the dowels right here, that they're all in place, as well as over here. And basically you want to line them up like so. Alright, so next thing, now that we got our primary cover on there, now we're going to follow this torque sequence while tightening them down to anywhere from 108 to 120 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, but inch-pounds. Just like that, good to go. Alright, so now we're going to be installing our wheel. Pretty straightforward-ish. We're going to raise the bike just so we can fit the wheel underneath. You want to install the bracket if you took it off for your brake caliper. Then you want to make sure you put the spacer back where it goes in. Basically goes inside the swing arm and the bracket for the brake caliper. Then with that being said, we're going to lower it up until we think it might work. Say right about there-ish. Be sure to grease up your axle before sliding it in. The spacer goes in between the pulley and the swing arm. And make sure that the lines are pointing outwards, like how you took them off. Has to be the same exact way. So now that you got your axle in here, your spacer installed, the spacer in here, caliper bracket right here installed correctly. If you took it off, you messed with it, which in my case I did. Makes it a little bit easier, clean it off from any debris it may have. Then you want to put the nut on there. And right now we're just gonna be hand tightening it. And the rear axle torque spec calls for anywhere from 95 to 105 foot-pounds. Alright, with the wrench on this side to hold down my nut. On this side, I'm be torquing it down to 100 foot-pounds, somewhere in the middle. 100 foot-pounds, call it a day. Then I'm just gonna clean off any excess grease on both sides. Then you wanna install your little E-clip. Pretty straightforward. There's a little slot right here, a little notch. Slide it in. Now that it locks, we're good to go. Alright, so now we're installing the belt. Pretty straightforward. Start off on the top. Make sure your teeth are aligned. Just walk it back in. Like so. Alright, so now that you got your adjustment screws back into place, now you want to check the slack you got here. This is just a rough estimate. Go to your manual, refer to it. See how it tells you how to measure how much slack in place you have. But I just kind of eyeballed it as of right now. And once everything's said and done, then I'll be double checking it. So one thing that I do want to share with you guys is that you need to make sure your wheels align. One little thing I made up with the help of a buddy was this little wheel alignment tool. Essentially, you get an old coat hanger, the wire ones. You want to say the one side have about 90-degree angle, and the other side, I slapped a little O-ring, as you can see there. And I just put electrical tape just to fill in the gap, because those the wire was too thin for the O-ring, so with the tape it kind of evened out that space. But now I got this little marker, if you want to call it that. But sure, it's pretty straightforward. You want to get this one on right on your swing arm nut or your bolt, whatever side you're on. Alright, so same thing on the other side. You want to make sure your wheels align. You want to put it here in the middle of the axle. You want to put it here in the middle of the swing arm bolt and of your axle. So right there, somewhere in the middle. Whether you make a tool like this or you buy one, you want to make sure your wheels align correctly, or otherwise it will be we call it caulked or chalked. Because basically your wheel will be either this side too much or this side, and basically that will create extreme wear on your brake pads and your tires. So after you do your test ride, you want to double check your pulley, see how it's running, check your tension once again, make sure you got enough slack in there, make sure that's good. Your bearings, your axle, make sure everything's good, as well as on the other side, everything's still looking good, looking fresh. And just like that, we'll be able to call it a day. Alright, so that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed it. Check out my channel for other content such as stage 1, handlebars, whatever it may be. As always, ride safe and have a great day.